Everyone, this is Ellie Newman from PRT.
Hi, Ellie.
Hi, Ellie. My name is Dylan. I'm the Program and Policy and Planning Associate here at Hill CDC. We're just setting up the meeting right now, and I think we're waiting for one more presenter. So if you could just give us a second, we'll get this started. And I think I have this linked to Facebook. Yep.
Yep, you're all good. We'll get started momentarily. Folks, thank you for your patience.
I'm glad I did sign in at this time because when I got the Zoom link, it said it started at 7 p.m. So I was confused.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. We'll get that addressed. No worries. Thank you for letting us know, Ellie.
Yep, sure.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook audience. For those of you who are logging on, we are excited to be getting started soon for our bi-monthly plans meeting with the Hill CDC. We have lots of information to share with you today. We are just waiting on one other presenter, and then we will jump in. Hang tight. All right, everyone, we are going to get started. Welcome to the Hill CDC's bi-monthly Hill District Plans meeting. I am Marimba Lyons, President and CEO of the Hill Community Development Corporation, and I want to hand over this meeting to Diane Day, our Director of Programs, Policy, and Special Initiatives, as well as Dylan Brown, our Policy and Planning Associate. They are going to be facilitating the meeting this evening. There's lots of information to share with you, specifically from PRT and from the City of Pittsburgh for Freedom Corner, as well as some Hill CDC updates relative to the DRP. So with that, I'm going to invite Diane on here and then Dylan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and getting to know more about what's going on in our Hill District. I definitely want to make sure everybody understands that the Hill CDC is a place-based organization, and we are basically focused on the equitable redevelopment and revitalization of the historic Hill District. We love to say that it is where cultural legacy meets future innovation. And that is something we're going to be talking about this afternoon. We have a lot of exciting information that we're going to be presenting to you this afternoon. And we are celebrating 36 years of operation. Dylan, can you change the page for us, please? Next slide. Thank you. Tonight's agenda is basically we're going to be presenting the Pittsburgh Regional Transit Hill District updates. We'll have updates about Freedom Corners restoration. And then we're going to talk about something that we're super excited about here at the Hill CDC, and that is our activation plan. We have our final report, and now we're getting ready to roll it out. And so we are excited about sharing that information with you. We also have 3 new DRP submissions that are under review and that we will be giving close eye to in the month of November. And we'll share that information with you as well. Dylan, can you change the next page? Our focus areas here at the Hill CDC, we have 3 Ps. We focus on the people of the Hill District, the places of the Hill District, and the policy that makes it all work. And so that is our business here at the Hill CDC. And Dylan, can you change our, thank you. Our mission at the Hill CDC is that the Hill CDC works in partnership with residents and stakeholders to create, promote, and implement strategies and programs that connect plans, policies, and people that drive compelling community development opportunities in the Greater Hill District. Can you please? Thank you. About our Hill CDC, our basic work really focuses on real estate development, and that includes our commercial core and home ownership, economic development programs where we focus on business and entrepreneurship opportunities. We also make sure that anybody that's interested in having a home in the Hill District, that they're prepared and they understand what resources are available to them. Also, in addition to that, we have a booming art and cultural sector in the Hill District that is continuously growing and evolving. And then we really work on our policy and planning, and that's what tonight is all about. Making sure that we focus on the promotion of equitable development and neighborhood planning. Next slide, please. And so now I will turn it over to our Transit Hill District updates. The individuals that are here to talk about more about what's going on in our transit programs.
Okay, thank you so much, Diane. I'm trying to turn my video on so I don't just look like a black square, but it looks like it's stopped. So if anyone's able to address that, I'll turn it on. But my name's Ellie Newman. I am the Assistant Director of Planning and Service Development at PRT. And I am here to, oh, here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk to you all about a major project that we have just launched that is actually a county-wide project, but could have impacts for the Hill. So next slide, please. So this project is the bus line redesign project. You can actually go to the next slide for me. Thank you. And what we're going to be doing with this project, it's a very major one, and it's one where we are going to be rethinking the entire bus network in terms of what routes do we have in the Pittsburgh area and where do they go. So it's going to be a comprehensive redesign of our routing. This is something that came out of the long-range plan called Next Transit that we did a couple of years ago. It was something that we heard a lot from the public, that our routes maybe don't serve people as well as they used to. And so we're trying to rethink where we're going to be sending our buses. This is something that a lot of transit agencies will do fairly regularly. We're one of the few that doesn't do it very often. And it is a good time to do it because our network is very set up to get people from the suburbs into downtown Pittsburgh for working in an office building and then leaving at the end of the day. And since the pandemic, that's something that the system isn't really used for that as much anymore. So can we take some of those routes, some of those buses, and actually put them to connect neighborhoods together rather than just commuting? So our goals for this project, we obviously want to improve our ridership, get more people out of cars onto the bus. We'd like to see more frequent transit so that people can, rather than looking at a schedule, they can just show up to the bus stop knowing that it will be every 10 or 15 minutes that a bus will come by. We want to make the bus network a little bit simpler, it's easier to understand, and also one that promotes equity. So looking at communities where people rely most on the bus and making sure that our network serves all the different places that people in those areas need to get to. Next slide, please. So it talks a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. And this pretty much just summarizes it in a different way. We also want to make sure that we design a network that we can operate reliably. Certainly one thing that we've been hearing a lot from riders and things that we know just ourselves is that it's really hard to keep some of these routes on time. Some of them may take 90 minutes to go from point A to point Z on their route. And just driving in Pittsburgh, it's really difficult to keep to a schedule with that long of a route. So we're also going to be thinking about how can we make the network as efficient and easy to operate as possible. Next slide, please. Some things that we'll be considering here, the post-pandemic travel patterns, we really see a lot less people riding at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., but we still see a lot of people riding at midday and late night and weekends. So kind of designing the services around that. We want to look at downtown as currently downtown is kind of our only transfer center. We'd like to look at potentially having more transfer centers outside of downtown. So if you're going from eastern Allegheny County up to the north, you don't have to go all the way downtown. Maybe you could go to Penn Hills or something and then transfer to go north. We'll be looking at service span, frequency, and coverage. So that basically means for each route, what time of day does the service start and end? How often does the bus come? And what is the balance between having a bus that comes every 15 minutes, but maybe you have to walk 10 minutes to get there, versus maybe you only have to walk 2 minutes, but the bus only comes every 45 minutes. So kind of figuring out what people's preferences are there. And this will all be done in the context of our operator shortage. So we're going to be designing a network that we know we can operate with the number of bus drivers that we have now. We've seen some other cities try to double their network size in these types of projects and then realizing that they can't hire drivers fast enough. So we want to make sure that we don't fall into that trap and we keep to a network that we can actually implement. So I mentioned it's a big project. This is a 21-month-long project. We're in month 3 right now. And we've built in a lot of opportunities for public engagement, and we're kind of slow rolling it because we want to make sure that people have enough time to hear about the project and let us know what they think. So this is the very first kind of public engagement launch phase. So we have a bunch of presentations at meetings like this. We're going to be out in the community, meeting with people, talking about the project. And actually, if any of you have any community events coming up in the Hill, where we could maybe have a table, we could certainly talk after about that, because we're looking for other places to go. We're also doing data analysis to understand kind of how the system works now. We'll next be going back out to the public around February of next year, just to kind of check in with everyone, show what we've learned so far, summarize the input that we've had so far. When we come back in August, September, October of next year, we'll actually have a draft network of potential new routes that we'd like to get feedback on and see if people think it's a better system than what we have now. After that, we will go back to the drawing board, we'll tweak some things here and there, and then we'll do kind of a final release of what the new network is going to be.
Could I ask a quick question? So just for the people viewing, the routes aren't going to be changing right in that time period you're mentioning. This is just drafting of the routes. So
yes, great
for clarity there. Yeah. So everything is theoretical at this point. So it's really just going to be lines on a piece of paper, lines on a map, to sort of explain, okay, so now you have these 3 routes in this new network, maybe you have 4 routes, you know, kind of seeing what people think of that. So nothing is going to be implemented until probably 2026 at the earliest, I would think. Okay, cool. That helps.
Getting into what the existing condition analysis is, you can kind of click through these different things. Basically, we're just going to be pulling a lot of data about things like population trends, what areas are growing or shrinking. We'll be looking at cell phone data because we can kind of see where people are driving to right now, and could we make that into a transit route instead of having everyone have to drive in their own car. We'll be analyzing data on our existing system to see what routes actually work really well, which routes maybe need some help. And then looking at any gaps where maybe could be a trip where it takes 10 minutes to drive in your car, but if you want to take a bus, it might take an hour. So where are those gaps, and can we try and fill some of that with transit? Next slide, please. So we have already done quite a lot of public engagement projects over the last few years. We've received probably about 300 or 400 comments, service requests from people over the last few years of new routes that they'd like us to look into. So if you've ever submitted something to us in the last 3 or 4 years, we still have that, and we'll be pulling that in as part of this analysis, but we also want to hear what people are thinking currently. So things that we'd like to know are, is there a trip that you want to take on a bus right now that it's really difficult to get there? Is there a route that maybe used to exist in the past that you think that we should look at bringing back? So really just kind of information about connections that people would like to make. Next slide. With our public engagement, we are going to be doing, we have a public website that will be up and available throughout the whole project, that you'll be able to submit comments to and even take an online survey. So I'll put that link in the chat of this meeting once we wrap up. We'll also be doing some in-person pop-ups. We have 2 online meetings it's going to be in mid-November, November 14th and 16th. And I'll have the link and more information about those, but that's where you can come and get even more information about the project, and maybe start to talk with us about where the system could become a little bit better for you all. So if you go to the next slide, I think I have some more details on that. So we're in the public engagement phase, as I mentioned. We'll be doing these public pop-ups until the end of November. So hopefully you'll all see us out at a couple of these throughout this unseasonably warm fall that sometimes becomes extremely cold. And then we're also doing a lot of information sharing with elected officials, with municipalities, with organizations. We're hoping that people kind of get sick of hearing about the project because we're so good at telling people that it's going on. All right, and then here's some more information about our upcoming public engagement. So I mentioned we've got one at 5:30 p.m. on November 14th, and then the 16th around lunchtime. If you go to engage.rideprt.org and then look for the bus line redesign project page, you can sign up for the meetings, you can sign up for emailed updates, you can take our online survey, so highly recommend that you check that out. And then we'll also be doing community pop-ups. We're at different farmers markets, libraries, festivals, all kinds of different stuff throughout the county. All right, that is all I had. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ellie, for sharing that with us. One of the things I do want to ask, as we transition the Hill CDC and we evolve our Main Street activity, if we start to see an increase in ridership in different areas, how will people, you may have already touched base on this, how will people be able to notify you that we need to add new services to the Hill District?
Sure. So we'll be doing this project and gathering input for the next 18 months or so. I'll say that for the Hill District routes in particular, those routes really never saw a big decrease in ridership throughout the whole pandemic. So we already know that people in the Hill truly do rely on our service and continue to stay with these routes and keep them going. So we're definitely extremely aware of the need in the Hill. It's more a question of, could the routes maybe go a little bit faster? Could they take a different route through the Hill? Could there be a direct connection to the north side, or could there be a direct connection to some other community that people want to go to? I think when we get to the place where we're actually implementing new routes, I think that will be definitely a time where we want to hear as much input from people. We've seen other cities go out and actually have employees standing on the street by bus stops and telling people what's going on and getting input from people at the street level. And then every time you ride the bus, that's giving us a data point of, okay, someone needed this trip at this time. So even if you don't speak to us, but you still ride, we know that you're there, and we look at that information all the time. Does that answer your question?
It does, but then I also have another question. So in your research and as you're developing and engaging with the community, can you share with us what your response rate has been so far?
Yeah, so I'll say that we're so early in this process that we don't really have any information yet. We've only done, we had 2 pop-up events so far. We did one in Wilkinsburg on Monday. We had one in McKeesport early this morning, and have had some good responses coming through. It's difficult to reach everyone, but we're hoping to reach a good cross-section of riders throughout the county. And then we have a lot of online opportunities because a lot of times it's hard for people to make time to go somewhere in person to give feedback. So we should have some more for you all on that in February, when we'll kind of have our summary of engagement. We'll have a tally of everyone that we've spoken to, and making sure that if we didn't get enough voices from the Hill or didn't get enough voices from the North Shore, wherever, we'll make sure to put another push out there and get more engagement.
Yeah, we'll make sure, we'll make that commitment that we notify you of all our community events where you can have that, opportunity to share with our riders, because it is such an important mode of transportation for our residents. In addition to that, if there are opportunities that you want to share with our community through our different media vehicles, please make sure that we have flyers, and we'll be more than happy to get that word out for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
I don't think we have any other ones, so I really appreciate you coming to speak with us today, Ellie. And like Diane said, we will be sharing the information you have with our residents and making sure that we publicize those 2 dates you mentioned in November to get more information about the bus design, the redesign of the lines. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
All right, so we are going to now have Freedom Corner conversation. I believe we have Harvey here. I don't know if he is in our chat, but we have one extra person that's here, so I'm trying to promote them to a panelist right now. Not yet. All right, so while we wait for Harvey to join, we're gonna jump ahead to our presentation on the Centre Avenue activation plan.
Thank you, Dylan. So I'm excited about the great return of the Hill, the activation plan for our Main Street corridor. This is something that I personally am working on, and the one thing that keeps coming back over and over again in my thought process is, as a little girl, whenever I would drive through the Hill, how exciting it would be, and how there was always activity and people on the street, and just complete enjoyment of coming through the Hill District. And I'm looking forward to being part of building, restoring the Hill, so that we have that live vibe again in the Hill District. And so we are very fortunate that we have partnered up with Yancey Consulting. They have put together for us a recommendation plan to activate both culture and commerce back on the Main Street of the Hill District, on Centre Avenue and Wiley Avenues. And so, Dylan, if you turn the page, we can begin to talk about this again in greater detail. The activation plan, basically, it takes us from year one, which will be starting this year, and takes us beyond 5 years. It is a phased out plan where, based off of activities that we can do relatively quickly to resolve situations that are going on in the Hill, versus long-term solutions that exist in the Hill District. And so our first year really focuses on bringing food to the Hill District. And Dylan, if you'll go back one more slide. That is something that we understand that the Hill District is in great need of. And so this plan really focuses on different avenues of getting fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and produce into our homes. And so, Dylan, if you'll turn the page. This map, which will be available to everyone shortly, really shows the different areas that we're going to set up activation on Centre Avenue and on Wiley Avenue. And as we begin to work on these different activations, we're looking for our Hill District residents and business owners to begin to connect with us, to let us know that you're interested in being part of this activation plan. In order to communicate the plan, we definitely will have later on this year a community activation meeting where we will roll out the entire plan to the community, and then begin to show and explain in greater detail what each of these different activations will be. We're looking now to partner up with different business owners and different farmer market vendors and different community members who are interested in being a activator, being a owner of a particular spot that has been identified as a activation location. We're looking for individuals who want to set up a green space. We're looking for people who want to be create a garden in the area. So if that's something that is on your heart, or if that is work that you are designed to put your hands to, then we want to talk to you. We want you to be part of our activation plan. One of the things that we at the Hill CDC recognize is that this work is greater than just the Hill CDC. This is work to be done by an entire community. And so it really gets into, in order for us to implement this plan, it can't be a me situation. It can't be Diane Day or Marimba Malliance or Dylan Brown. It really has to be the Hill District that puts this plan to work. And so it's what we call we work. And we work basically goes in, Dylan, if you'll go back 1 second, please. We work really focuses on, it's not about me, it's about we. And so one of the things that we really will be focused on is making sure that this implementation comes to pass. So we have a real quick saying, it's basically, so be it. So this is our plan. And so now our work is see to it, see that it gets done. Okay, if you'll turn the page, Dylan. The first step to this plan is the first 12 to 24 months. We're going to focus on making sure what has been outlined in our plan is actually put into play, and we'll take it step by step. So I'm going to share with you what that looks like for our first year. The first step is to actually complete what we call our Main Street destination, and that's making sure that we have set up with our national partnerships that we are a legitimate Main Street. The second step is that we are going to set up a community event where everyone can get involved and everyone understands what our plan is going forward. This third step is to begin to roll out what has already been identified for our first year activation. And so our first, Dylan, if you'll go back, our first 12 sections will include a weekend's farmer market and an art market. If you are a gardener, if you are creating crops in any way, if you are engaged with a farm, if you love to put your hands in the dirt and grow vegetables, this is your opportunity to shine. This is an opportunity for you to say, look at this eggplant I was able to grow with my own two hands and begin to feed your community. This is an opportunity for you to take that in the house herb garden and bring it to the main community and actually sell it so that your community has oregano, chives, onions, garlic. This is the opportunity. So if that is something that you have a passion about, then we want to talk to you and we want to help you to be successful in that area. And we want to help make sure that you understand how you can be a part of our weekends farmers and art market. If you're a food truck vendor, then we want to talk to you about what we're going to be setting up, which is Food Truck Saturdays. And we want this to be an exciting event. So of course, we'll have to have music. And we are also looking at making sure that your children have a fun time by having family activities on Saturdays as well. If you were able to come to our Nafasi Art Market that we held, I believe in this past August, that is something that was a day very similar to what we would like to roll out on a regular Saturday, where there's food available, where there's fun activities going on, where you actually can purchase things for your home, and your children have opportunities to play in a community atmosphere that's safe, that's exciting, where there's learning activities going on. And so that's what our Food Truck Saturday looks like. And if that is something that you want to get involved with, we want to hear from you. If you've ever been to New York, Chicago, Cleveland even, on most corners and a lot of those neighborhoods, there's a fresh produce setup where you can go shopping on a regular every week situation and pick out items for tonight's dinner. And so we actually have in the plan where we will have such setups throughout the Hill District, where if you think in the morning, I'm going to make, lasagna tonight after work, or spaghetti, or chicken Alfredo, but I need such and such as far as ingredients are concerned. Let me stop at this corner store because they have the best tomatoes, or they have the best wedges of cheese for what I'm making for dinner tonight. That's what we're going to be setting up in the Hill District for our families. And so we will be setting up a grocery store, as most of you know. We're very fortunate to have Salem's coming on board. But then in addition, we'll have the corner store that you can run to and pick up those tomatoes, those, eggplants, that squash, so that you can make tonight's dinner. I love a good glass of iced tea, and I am a huge drinker of Earl Grey tea. And so I'm looking forward to the next thing I'm going to talk about, and that's the coffee, smoothie, and bagel cafe in our main corridor in the Hill. I know we have a cafe in the Hill District, and so we're going to expand those opportunities. And so we will offer, in different locations in our neighborhood, where if you're running to work, if you're running to school, you can grab a coffee, you can grab a bagel, you can grab a smoothie, and you'll be able to begin to enjoy your morning and enjoy your day. And so in support of, our community cafe shop, this will just be additional, an expansion of that concept. As you know, we prefer to use local vendors and small mom and pop shop opportunities versus bringing in a national brand organization. So if that is something that you are already skilled at in your home base and you want to look at how you can become a business owner, come talk to us. We would love to talk to you about how to help us expand that offering here in the Hill District. In addition to that, we are going to be creating an additional outlet for our artists. As you may or may not know, we have a wonderful art gallery here in the Hill District on Centre Avenue called Nafasi Art Gallery. And so Nafasi actually is going to be open for the public viewing starting in January using regular business hours. But in addition to that, we're going to have areas within the Hill District where we'll have public art featured in different areas that our artists that are here in the Hill District will be able to show their work and to be able to illustrate the different skills that they offer. And so if you're artists that perhaps living in a New Granada Square apartment, or you have been hiding in the background, we need you to come forth, let us know who you are, so that we can make sure that we include you in making sure that you're part of beautifying our Hill District areas. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have community gardens with definite cookout stations. That's something that is already existing in the Hill District, but we want to expand it. And so if you are a chef, if you are someone that knows how to use that grill, let us know. We want to talk to you. One of the things that we are very fortunate to have is some very talented barbers that have not only the skill of cutting hair, but also have the skill of mentoring and training other barbers. And so we will be offering in the very near future a barbershop learning series. This is something to design to help individuals who want to get into this industry and to learn more about owning a barbershop will have the ability to sit at the feet of those who have been successful in this trade. Right now, we're very happy that we have had the ribbon cutting for our new Granada Square apartments. But in addition to those apartments, we also have retail space. And that retail space is now available. If you are a business owner and you're looking for a new home here in the Hill District, please stop by the Hill CDC. We want to talk to you. One of the things we are definitely looking for is to expand our service offerings in the Hill District. So if you have a hair salon, if you're a nail technician and you're looking to start your own business, come talk to us. You know, we are very happy that we have Molly World, and we're looking for other clothing boutiques. If you are a healthy food vendor, if there is products that you want to begin to sell to our Hill District residents, we want to talk to you. So if that is something that you're interested in, please stop by the Hill CDC or send us an email, and we will definitely be very interested in showing you the space and telling you how you can be prepared to become an occupant resident vendor. In the summer, I know we're rolling into the winter months, and so an outdoor fitness area may not be that appealing at this time, but the spring will come again. And so when it does, in addition to our YMCA, we're looking for individuals who may be interested in setting up outdoor fitness areas where we could go line dancing. We just recently lost one of our great line dancing king, Mr. Roland Ford, but we do recognize that there are so many other teachers out there. And so if there is someone out there that says, hey, I want to be that person that has line dancing class every Friday at 6 o'clock, we have spaces for you. If there is someone out there that has a plan to say, well, I may not be the line dancer, but I definitely can set up a Zumba class, we want to talk to you. We want to make sure that we're offering our Hill District opportunities to not just get fit, but to enjoy that sense of community and enjoy that sense of just having fresh air while you're doing it. So if you're a vendor or if you're a trainer, please come talk to us. We have spaces that are available to you. And then, just like we had in August, we're planning to have multiple seasonal picnic and music events to bring that community, to bring the community together and just to get to know each other and be able to enjoy a safe space. So if you want to be part of our next event, please come talk to us. We definitely want to set you up for a vendor. Can you turn the next page, Dylan? So again, this is not a Hill CDC initiative. This is a Hill District initiative. And so we're looking for individuals to now step up. We will be reaching out, but if you have not been reached out to and you have not let us know what your desires are as far as being part of Restoring the Hill, please let us know. Again, my name is Diane Day, and if you are interested, please email us at programs@hilldistrict.org. Thank you, Dylan.
All right, thank you, Diane. So We are going to move forward today with our DRP updates to the community. We're really excited to do this as a way of ensuring the community is informed of developments, even as they're being reviewed by the DRP. So this is just a quick snapshot of the 3 new developments that we're going to be looking at. But as they go through the DRP process and complete the committee stage of that 2-step process, the residents of the Hill District can expect a lot more information. So we're really excited to share these with you. But before we go in, I thought I would give everyone just a quick background on the DRP. So the DRP is the Hill District's unified community review process. It's focused review and community scoring, and it's been around for over a decade. So we're really proud of the work that we've been able to do here at Hill CDC through the DRP. And you can see here, it's grown to an 8-member organization representing different aspects of the community, whether it's through culture, commerce, education, and serving the residents, service-oriented organizations, I should say. So the background of the DRP was that it's relevant to the planning and development. It was founded nearly a decade ago, like I said, and it was a partnership between multiple Hill District organizations to create a unified table to kind of represent the community's voice. So often in development, there can be multiple voices and multiple opinions. And so the DRP was created as a way to streamline all of that into one unified voice for developers to come and present to and receive feedback and concerns or support or all of the above when it comes to a development proposal. And so I'll go to the next slide. The process has been around for a while, like I said, and as it's been strengthened and proven, multiple organizations have been added. We now have a steering committee that appoints members, and they choose their panelists to represent their organizations. And we're really proud to say that as of today, the DRP has reviewed well over 50 projects that some have completely finished their construction in the Hill District. For example, the New Granada Square apartments that Diane mentioned, that project went through the DRP and went through both parts of the DRP process, and now it's a completely finished development. So we're really proud of the work that the DRP has been able to accomplish. And you'll see as I go through our presentation, you can follow along with any project that you're specifically concerned with and see the interactions that they've had with the DRP. You can do that by going to hilldistrict.org/DRP. We have a really easy to use website where you can see the projects that the DRP is currently reviewing. If you click under review, you can look over the past projects that have finished the process and have gotten their approval stamp. And you can also see projects that have declined by the DRP or just have pulled out of the process and chosen not to complete the DRP. So it's a really, really useful tool to get up to date on the developments happening in the Hill District. And so we encourage anyone who's interested to check out those proposals, like I said, at hilldistrict.org/DRP. And so just to give you a brief overview of how it works, it's a 2-step process through the development review panel. We first receive a submission from a developer, basically outlining their goals for their projects, what they're trying to accomplish, and how they're going to do it. And the first step is that our panel of appointed members from those different organizations that make up the DRP, our panel looks through those documents and presentations and does an internal review of that presentation. They then invite the developers to come to our next monthly meeting and present their formal presentation to the DRP and answer questions that the panelists might have about a project. After that meeting, we have a scorecard that we use, and the panelists fill out that scorecard and judge the relative alignment with the Greater Hill District Master Plan of the project that was presented. And so the next bullet point says, if it's aligned with the Greater Hill District Master Plan, the second step is that we go to a community review, where every single resident in the entire Greater Hill District is invited to come to our meeting to hear from the presenters themselves, ask questions that they directly have to the presenters, and hear that engagement with them and give them their feedback that they personally have. And it's really important that we emphasize that we invite everyone to this meeting, because we like to make it a two-step process so that by the time the developers go before the community, there's already been a significant amount of alignment with the Greater Hill District Master Plan. And so it's a requirement that developers score above 80% alignment with the master plan before they can go before the community. And so that's a way that we can really foster a robust feedback system. And after the second step, which is the community review of a development, a cumulative score of 80% of higher earns a letter of support that is sent on behalf of the DRP to the city agencies, elected officials, and relevant stakeholders. But if a cumulative score is not above 80%, we always emphasize that that is not the end of the road. That is not where the project stops. In fact, we hope that developers see this as an opportunity to increase public support of their project by re-engaging with the DRP, hearing the feedback that either comes from the panel or comes from the community after a community scoring, and they revisit their presentation to see where improvements could be made, see where the common feedback threads were coming from, and maybe there are changes that could be made to improve a project and get more support for it. And so it's really important that developers and residents know that the DRP is not a barrier to development. It is rather a bridge to community development. And it's important also to know that there is a scorecard for the Greater Hill District, but there's also a specific scorecard for the Lower Hill District that incorporates the elements of the Community Collaboration and Implementation Plan, or commonly referred to as the CSIP. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, we do have projects that are declined by the DRP, or projects where developers choose to remove themselves from the process for whatever reason that they may have. And that is when a letter of non-support is drafted on behalf of the DRP and is sent to the relevant agencies like city planning or the URA, just to name a few. We only, in this case, will the Hill CDC publicly advocate for the improvement on the plan on behalf of the Hill District, is when there's non-support for it. And so, without further ado, I'm excited to announce the 3 new projects that we have before the DRP that will be presenting to the panel this coming month in November, and hopefully to the Hill District residents soon after. The first project that we have is phase 2 of Bedford Dwellings. They recently were awarded a choice grant of $50 million this past summer, and the Hill CDC was really excited to be a part of that grant proposal. And we're so excited to see the transformation that this humongous award will have on the community. As some of you may have known, there was a groundbreaking in Uptown for the City's Edge project, which is another phase of this Bedford Dwellings. And there's been recent developments at the URA regarding Reed Roberts. And so this is the newest phase of the Bedford Dwellings project. On this slide, it gives you a overview, a bird's eye view of the development. So this is the Francis Court part of Bedford Dwellings. It's currently vacant land right now. And so it's important to note that there won't be any demolitions yet of buildings in Bedford Dwellings to build these ones. And so we're really excited to see here, you can see 3D models of the different buildings. It's going to be a combination of a senior facility as well as a multifamily apartment building, and then several townhomes that are stacked. And overall, the total unit count here is about, I would say, I can't do math that quickly, but I'm going to guess it's around 175 units here. We're really excited to have the Housing Authority and Trek Development as our presenters to the DRP. They've engaged with us in the past, so they're very familiar with this process, and we're excited to keep them moving. City's Edge and Reed Roberts both participated in the DRP, and they both passed. So we're really excited to see this new development come through. And as we said, once they pass the panel, they'll be in front of the community. The second development that we're excited to talk to you about is Studio Volsi's Rhythm Square development, which is along Centre Avenue. They're proposing a development that includes retail space, gallery space, as well as artist studios. It's exciting because these are underutilized buildings that have been vacant for a long time, and part of their proposal here is to retain those buildings and build around them and as well as on top of them. And the first phase of this project involves creating 5 apartments for artists, creating a retail space for Ujima Collective, which is a local business and also worth noting, a member of the DRP, creating an event space that can be shared by the community, as well as 12 individual artist studios. And this is a project that's been in the works for a long time, but now they're finally ready to get the development moving forward. And so that's why they're here to the DRP. And we're really excited to review this project. The last project is a demolition of an existing building that's vacant on 5th Avenue in the Uptown neighborhood. This building is owned by the firm Orbital Engineering, and a better picture actually is on this slide. It's the small building on the right. They've already erected scaffolding because some things have been falling down. The DRP is going to review this project as closely as they do any other to see how the project developers approach this question of demolition versus preservation. And their actual their office building is this small building on the left. So their plan for this development is to demolish the building that is structurally not safe at the moment and extend their employee parking lot to the end of that lot. They've mentioned that they haven't really explored future uses of this site yet, but they already have committed to the DRP process if they choose to further develop this site. And that's really important that we had that conversation with them, because oftentimes parking lots are not a pretty sight on the eyes. And so if there is future development, they're very committed to the community review, as the Hill District is the unified voice for the Hill District, the DRP, I should say. And so those are the 3 projects that we are excited to talk to you about. As I said, you can follow along with these projects at hilldistrict.org/DRP, but you can also follow these projects by signing up for our weekend roundup newsletter. It's over 2,500 people strong, and it continues to grow. You can sign up for that at hilldistrict.org/sign up, or you can engage with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're really popular on LinkedIn, so we just encourage everyone to stay tuned. And I see we have Harvey Butts from the City of Pittsburgh here, so I will jump over to their slides and we'll wrap up this meeting tonight. But thank you all so much, and it's a pleasure. So thank you, Harvey. Can you?
Hi, how are you?
Awesome.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, fine. Okay. So I'm working on finishing Freedom Corner. It was injured, so to speak, 2 years ago. It's been a process getting the things together, the money together to fix it, but we're quickly coming to a close. The expected date of completion is the 1st of December. And it's contingent upon a couple of things like getting the lighting in, which is going to be supplied by the Department of Public Works. So this is the photograph I did of it in 2015 after the first renovation. We're trying to get it somewhat back to this state. Next slide. This is the photograph after the accident. It was a car accident. Actually, 2 different cars hit the kiosk portion of the site. This was last year. Next slide. Oh, you skipped the slide, but the one you skipped is the most recent photograph of the renovation. We replaced the damaged granite, and we're working on now evening out the pavers and fixing the drainage on site, as well as the sidewalk to the left. Next slide. This is a close-up photograph before, after the injury. Next slide. And this is most recent 2 weeks ago. The colors changed slightly because the older stone has been sitting in the sun for 22 years. We're going to attempt to clean the darker stone to have it match the newer stone, as well as the signage. Next slide. This is a previous photograph of the kiosk, which was a portion of the site that never worked with technology from 2001. So that was a portion we decided to try to remedy, or get in the process of starting to remedy this problem. So next slide shows the removal of the kiosk. I mean, of the metal part of the kiosk where the TV was going to go. So this is what it looks like right now. The next portion to this project is going to be getting an artist to put a piece in here that explains more in verbiage the concept and the history of Freedom Corner, which is a process in and of itself. Next slide. This is an aerial view of before, with showing the bad drainage and the kiosk and the bad sidewalk. This was done last summer. Next slide. And it's showing basically the portions that we're going to do. The kiosk removal, we're removing some granite slabs and engraving new well, they were cracked. The granite was cracked, so we're going to engrave the names back on the granite. We're going to also improve the entry to the site because the granite on the left side is breaking away, as well as the sidewalk, which is pretty much deteriorated over time. Next slide. And this is in progress. You see the kiosk moved, and again, the conditions have changed somewhat, but it's pretty much the same. Next slide. And this is a rendering that I did, hopefully what it will look like when we're done. We want to put some burning bushes in front and some planting in front, but that probably won't happen until the spring. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's again what it used to look like in its heyday with the lighting, 2015. Trying to get it back to this situation. Now it's just the problem is getting the lighting and getting it installed and delivery times. That's the one factor that we don't have control over, but as of right now, we're shooting for the beginning of December.
Well, thank you so much, Harvey, for taking time out of your day to join us.
No
we really appreciate you giving us this update. And I think this is something that the community is really excited to see finally starting to get some real progress, especially with the sign, the damage there. Seeing that gone is definitely a really good sign of progress coming.
Thank you.
All right. And that was our last presentation. So I will just reiterate to people who are watching, you can follow along with other developments at Hill CDC by joining our email lists, engaging with us on social media. We are so lucky to be working here on your behalf. And so we just want to thank you all for your support and engagement with us over the past year. And we're really excited to see what the next year has in store. So thank you all for your time tonight, and see you soon.